The Little Match Girl by Hans Christian Andersen. It was a very cold evening. It was almost dark and snow was falling heavily. A poor little girl, dressed only in rags and with no shoes to cover her feet, was walking through the snowy streets. When she had left her home, she'd been wearing slippers, but they belonged to her mother and had been far too big for her. They had fallen from her feet as she had rushed across the street, trying to avoid two carriages that had come rattling by at great speed. She'd lost one of the slippers, despite searching desperately, and a boy had run away with the other one. So the little girl had no choice but to walk on her bare feet, which were turning numb and both red and blue with the freezing cold. She was wearing a long pinafore dress, and in the pocket were several boxes of matches. She'd been trying to sell them all day, but nobody had bought anything from her. The poor little girl was miserable. She was both extremely cold and hungry. The snowflakes continued to fall down thick and fast, landing on her long curly hair. It was New Year's Eve, and all around her lights were flickering in windows, and the smell of roast dinners wafted from houses where families were gathered together for the celebrations. The little girl sat down on the corner of the street. It was getting colder and colder, but the little girl didn't dare go back home, as she knew that her father would be angry at her for not selling anything. Besides, it was cold in their house too, as the roof was full of cracks through which the cold wind whistled. She could hardly feel her hands now with the cold. If only she could light one of the matches and warm herself with its heat. The girl took a match from the box and struck it. Immediately it lit up and gave off a warm, bright glow like a tiny candle. She held her hands over it and felt the warmth. She imagined that she was sitting beside a warm, cosy fire, nice and comfortable. The next moment, the little candle burned out. The little girl's daydream ended, and she held the burnt remains of the match in her hand. She lit another match, which again burned brightly. The glowing light fell onto a brick wall, and the little girl imagined what was in the room behind it. She could see a table decorated with a pretty tablecloth and laden with food. There was roast turkey and stuffing and cranberry sauce. Shiny silver cutlery lay spread out ready for the guest to tuck into the extravagant meal. Then the little flame went out, and the little girl could once again see only the thick brick wall. She lit a third match. She could see herself sitting underneath an enormous Christmas tree. It was beautiful. It was even more wonderful than the tree she'd seen last Christmas when she looked through the window of a rich man's house. Thousands of lights twinkled, and hundreds of delicate baubles and other decorations hung from the branches. The little girl reached out her hands to touch the delicate ornaments. The light from the match went out, but the twinkling Christmas lights seemed to rise higher into the sky. She saw them as bright as the stars. One of the lights fell down, trailing a long line of fire behind it. Someone must be dying, thought the little girl. Her grandmother had always told her that when somebody died, a star fell from the sky. She struck another match, and in the glow she could see her kind, wonderful grandma standing in front of her. "Grandma!" cried the little girl. "Please take me with you. I know that once this match burns out, you'll disappear, just like the cosy fire, the delicious feast, and the wonderful Christmas tree." The little girl began to strike match after match. "If I keep the light burning," she thought to herself, "then my grandma will still be here with me." The matches burned brightly. The little girl had never seen her grandma looking so grand and so beautiful before. She let her grandma scoop her up in her arms and fly with her up into the sky, higher and higher, until they were in a place where neither of them felt cold or hungry. They were at peace. But back down on the street corner, leaning back against the thick brick wall, sat the little girl with cold rosy cheeks and a smiling mouth, frozen to death on New Year's Eve. The figure of the little girl sat with a bundle of matches in her hand, several of which were now burned. "The poor little girl," said passers-by. "She only wanted to warm herself." But none of them knew about the wonderful things the girl had seen, the warm, cosy room, the table laden with food, and the beautiful Christmas tree. Nor did they know how happy the little girl had been to see her kind, wonderful grandmother and fly away with her into the bright new year.